Hey, what's up guys? Michael from Karate Breakdown again. I'm back with another video debunking common karate misconceptions. Today we're talking about how karate is not a long-range art. I'll give 3 points to kind of defend that statement, but I know when a lot of people think about karate, they think about that long-range dashing type of style being very elusive. And that's actually a modern evolution of karate. It wasn't that way before, and I wanted to provide some evidence for that. So first of all, you got to look at the original katas. That is the handbook of what karate used to be. If you look at the indigenous art of Okinawa, it is a type of wrestling, belt wrestling. If you look at the katas though, there are a few key similarities and parallels across karate styles that don't really lend themselves to a long range type of style. And as you guys know with this channel, my goal is to bring back practical karate, and that means through the use of katas, you learn how to spar, you learn how to fight with them, you learn how to defend yourself with them. You don't just learn them for belts and then you spar like a point sparring kickboxer. You learn how to spar with katas. So the first point here is stances. If you look at the old traditional Okinawan stances, is very upright. We call it like a natural stance compared to the more common Japanese karate stances, which are a lot deeper. That's more like an aesthetic choice. It's more for lunging type punches. If you just think pure combat, if you're trying to lunge at something or pick at something from a distance, you're going to need to extend yourself as long as possible. So you would want that front kick, you would want that side kick to be fully extended, you would want that reverse punch to be fully extended with that deep lunge so that you could dash right back out of there. Whereas the Okinawan original katas, they're very upright. If you guys just think about pure combat, when are you upright? It's usually when you're in like a clinch or medium range situation. You're upright when you are having your hands on somebody and they grab onto you. And being in that upright stance allows you to move your center of gravity more freely. And of course, Okinawan karate has a deep stance. They're more transitional stances. Let's say you grabbed onto somebody and then you do a deep stance to take them down. A deep front stance or a deep horse stance or a deep back stance where you're pulling their center of gravity off center so that you can unbalance them and then take them over. And a lot of times the stances too are square with your opponent. You want both your feet pointed at your opponent. Very rarely are you bladed. And you look at styles or fighting systems like fencing, they're very bladed because they want to extend themselves as long as possible. Bruce Lee talked about this all the time, right? That front side kick to the knee, longest weapon to the nearest target. But again, he was a very fast ball of foot type of fighter that allowed him to dash in and out and use his agility to his advantage. And I think about like other styles too. If you look at Taekwondo, the father of Taekwondo is Taekyun, and they have like a very hopping type of form. Their styles like it's a mixture of traditional dance and rhythm and high kicks. That to me looks like a very long distance type of style because you are light on your feet, you're trying to pick from a distance, etc. Same thing with capoeira and Muay Thai, or old Muay Thai, Muay Boran. They have in their forms like leans or sways or dodges. You can think of this as head movement. You're trying not to get caught and you're trying to shuffle your feet and strike and dash out and dash at angles and stuff like that. Whereas traditional karate, you have more sinking type of styles, more foot shuffles to let your center of gravity get closer to your opponent. You have deep stances again, like when you're pulling something down, pivots that happen a lot after you grab somebody, and then you have like twisting stances too. So in twisting stances all the time, I've talked about this with Shuai Jiao. It reminds me a lot of it like a twisting takedown, some type of hip toss, some type of Uchimata Harai Goshi type thing. And then point number 2, look at the hand movements in kata as well. Very rarely in traditional Okinawan karate do you have very long overextended punches. A lot of times the overextensions happen from the center, meaning you're grabbed and you're pushing somebody away, like in Kusanku. You also have shorter, tight circular motions. Yeah, you see this a lot in Uichiru. Every time I see circular motions, especially when they're like shorter, tighter, faster, it means like you're swimming around limbs inside the clinch. It means like you're moving obstructions out of the way so that you're clearing them, so that you get closer to the torso, so that you can then do your medium range strikes or do your takedowns. Now compare that to longer range styles. Long range styles, you kind of use your hands as ways to block and redirect. Get things out of the way from a distance, like you're parrying or you're patting something down, or you're blocking so that you can quickly counter strike and attack them right afterwards, right? So you block something to an angle, dash yourself to that other angle, and then you throw your strike. So it's kind of like a tick for tat type of style. Again, you see this a lot in Muay Thai. A lot of parry, a lot of blocks, and then counter right afterwards. And then finally, look at the kicks. A lot of traditional kicks never go above the waist, and a lot of them chamber right back to where you are before you either land where you're from or you land forward. So to me, that tells me if I'm training kata in a style where I am kicking and rechambering, that means I'm kicking in a short or confined space. I'm not able to overextend. It's not like I can kick and leave my leg out there and land forward. You see that a lot in like Taekwondo, especially when they're sparring, because they're trying to really reach for that target and also land forward. Also, you have different types of kicks where you're like fading away type of kicks, right? Again, that type of long range point sparring type of kick you don't see a lot in Okinawan karate. You have cat stance kicks again, which is like you're holding onto somebody and dragging them into you, throwing that kick low below the belt, either to soft tissue or the groin. And when you do see in kata where you kick and land forward, it usually lands forward into a strike. So that tells me, let's say you are trying to strike from a distance, but once you land and close the distance, you continue striking, right? If you look at the kata as your blueprint, then that gives you ideas for strategies on how to use that and what was the original intent for that. And I say that as one, a practicalist and also a historian. It's hard to see people train kata and then do their typical kickboxing sparring. You can completely spar with kata in a controlled manner and in a self-defense situation, as long as you're able to take the time to piece out the practical applications within those forms. So I hope that makes sense. Those are my 3 points on why karate was never a long-range art. It is a clinch fighting art with strikes and takedowns. And you see that in their historical katas as well. Catch you on the next one. Train hard, fight easy.